they wrote an article through me about the shift in consciousness and how they want to be interdependent with us now. They don't want to be codependent. They want to be
Okay.
interdependent. So in other words, it's like we don't get to just like, oh, you're sleeping, I'm just going to pet you, um, because that dysregulates them. But
Mm-hmm.
to honor them.
Hello and welcome everyone to the Wealth Within Us. I am your host, Michelle Blaze, and today I have the honor and privilege of having Sofia Risberg, PhD, with me. She is an interspecies communicator and energy healer. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this. And I know you have a lot to share with us, but why don't we start off with how did you get into this?
I've been talking to animals since I was little. My first experience is my memory. I'm sure there's more than that, but like my memory is we had a cabin in Connecticut
Mm.
when I was little, and we were on the beach, and I walk into a gaggle of Canadian geese, 3 years old, and they surround me, and my parents start freaking out, and I start petting them.
Yeah, because sometimes they can be a little nasty.
Right. But like I knew and they knew, they saw me and I saw them. So I'm like, oh, my friends. Like, so I'm hanging out with my friends who just happen to be geese. And after about 10 minutes of me toddling around and petting them and then like hissing at my parents to keep them away from me,
Mm,
then I finally walked out and they're like, don't you ever do that again. I'm like, but they're my friends. Like, I didn't get that, like, somehow they're not my friends because they
right.
were. And so I've always had that connection with them. And when I was 10, I was very intuitive. And when I was 10, I was guided that I was going to be a doctor. And I was like, I can't cut anyone open.
Mm,
Can't do that.
hmm.
So I ended up getting a PhD in cultural studies.
Okay.
Completely far field, but I studied like basically a version of my dissertation is like how a separation is created on this planet
Well, interesting. Okay.
because it's an illusion.
Right.
And so I get that. Um, my dad dies 3 years later. I actually watch his
Huh.
soul scatter across the universe.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm like, okay, I don't know anything. And I started doing this spiritual journey of meditation and the Silva method and soul retrieval and body talk and all these things. And in 2020, I was still doing research, but it felt heavier and heavier and heavier. And in 2020, I started taking classes in a modality called body talk.
Hmm.
And body talk is chiropractic, kinesiology, traditional Chinese medicine, and a couple other modalities mixed together.
Okay.
And I take the second class, which is a tapping technique called Body Talk Access for Animals.
Mm.
I'm in Oregon. I'm told to work on a dog in Ireland. 12 screens because it's early Zoom. The guy who had the dog I was working on couldn't call into Zoom. So he
Oh.
calls on his phone and the facilitator holds her phone up like this, but it's 12 screens because she didn't focus herself. So I'm like squinting like this, trying to see what I'm
Yeah.
looking at and what I'm tapping for. And within the space of like 5 minutes, I hadn't finished the process yet. It's a 20-minute process of tapping. Within 5 minutes, it was a puppy and she was going like this and she crashed, just fell asleep. And I'm like, how does a dog in Ireland feel my intention in Oregon and fall asleep?
Yeah.
And my left brain went like, I gotta find out more about this. So I took 3 more classes, learned about consciousness and entanglement and all these things. And then I got done. And in Body Talk, they kick you out to start practicing.
Hmm.
And then there's a certification process, but I was guided to not take that because, as I was told, you already went through that.
Right.
So the animals immediately start talking to me again. I'm like, what's going on?
So
And
it
it's
kind
like
of
this.
had stopped, if I'm understanding, it had kind of stopped after you were three.
Not quite, but I just didn't know how I was going to help them.
Right. And I
Like
think like maybe your parents kind of put a little bug in, and they all do. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
don't ever do that not from a place of love.
Right.
But they
Right.
were
No,
probably
it's but
like, don't ever do that again. And your brain said, oh, danger or
right. But like I've
something.
always had like all of the
You,
pets in
you
my
just can't
life.
help yourself.
I've always had animals that have like just been drawn to me and had a deeper connection with me. And I
Mm,
actually, when I was living in Bend a couple months ago, I was house sitting for a friend, and her dog and I have a soul contract. Like
interesting.
we saw each other and it was like, oh, you're my dog, but you live with someone else. This sucks. So like when I left, she
Wow.
wouldn't look at me. She was just like, I can't believe you're leaving me. I'm like, oh, sorry, I don't want
Almost
to leave you.
like people have soul
Yeah,
contracts. So we actually have soul contracts with animals too.
yeah, yeah.
Mm, interesting.
You're welcome. I, lo- I love expanding consciousness because
No,
like there's
I feel a deep connection with my own dog, and anybody who knows me knows that.
yeah. It's just how it's how we interrelate. And I'm living with a friend right
Mm,
now. I moved down here after my mom died. She's like, Hannah, why don't you stay here while you're dealing with all the things?
right.
And so one of her cats, Star, I love Star. He reminds me of my cat Toby from high school.
Mm.
And one day he jumped on the bed to just get pet, and I actually felt Toby come through him. And I just
Oh,
cried gratitude for this beautiful
yes.
cat who was like, who regulated me in high school when I'm a very, very sensitive human. I can feel objects. I can feel the energy of the people who
Mhm.
had the objects. I don't like being this sensitive, but I am.
Yeah.
And so, in high school, being an introvert, that was a lot of energy. And Toby would meet me at the door and jump on my, like I pick him up and I just lay down with him and he'd purr me back into regulation. So,
Yeah. Wow.
yeah.
That's amazing how healing animals are. I think it just goes to show how healing that we just overlook that, I feel.
Well, and that's their contract. Like for decades, well, millennia, they've been like, okay, we're going to be the emotional regulation for the humans. So, up until about 2, 3 years ago,
Mhm.
the animals had this contract of like, we're going to be your emotional support. And the other side of that is we're going to transition early
What do you
because we're
mean by
taking,
that?
it means that like, we're going to take on your emotional stuff that you can't process. But
Okay.
because of the heaviness of that, we're going to die young.
Oh, okay. So if you're saying a dog's lifespan is 12 years, it's going to be 10, or if it's 15, it's going to be
Yeah,
12 or
depending on like
something like
the
that.
and depending on how healthy the human is. Like
Hmm.
I met a Malamute a couple years ago and his human, she just dumped all of her emotions on him and he looked at me and he was like, "Can you help me out?" And I was like, "Oh, buddy, of course I can." And I was in Shasta and one of my girlfriends like she just put a little like energy interference so the human wouldn't like try to get his attention away from me.
Okay.
And I just did some clearing on him, like just disconnecting the codependency that she had on him.
Mm.
And it was only like 5 minutes. And then when I got done, he started pulling her to come to me to thank me.
Oh,
And I was
that's crazy.
I'm like, I love you, buddy. I see you. And he was just like, you have no idea what you just did. I'm like, no, I clearly don't. But he was so relieved because she was like, oh, yeah, he's my emotional dog. And he was like, I don't want to do this anymore because it was
Yeah, it
too
was almost like
heavy.
it overtaxed his system. So,
Yeah. And we don't have a conscious awareness of that because they're just our pets and we don't know that when we come home and we have a stressful day, they try to take that on for us. So
right.
what happened about
I don't think we realize it about ourselves, to be
yeah,
honest. So I don't even, let alone our pets. I think people are waking up, but I think most of us can't even sort of self-regulate like that.
yeah. Yeah, I mean it's a big thing. And so about 2, 3 years ago, I guess 2 years ago, they came into my consciousness, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. I've never done this before. I haven't done it since. And I journal all the time, but like I was told to turn on my Microsoft Word and press the speech text thing,
Hmm.
and I start talking something that isn't me, and I'm aware of it. I'm like, what is happening? And they wrote an article through me about the shift in consciousness and how they want to be interdependent with us now. They don't want to be codependent, they want to be
Ah, okay.
interdependent. So, in other words, it's like we don't get to just like, oh, you're sleeping, I'm just going to pet you. um, because that just regulates them. But
Mm-hmm.
to honor them where they're at and see like, oh, like when I was living in Bend with my soul dog, I was doing a detox and Bay started getting sick.
Mm.
And I looked at her then because she never got sick and she was like pooing and everything in the house. And I'm like, what are you doing, honey? And I felt she's like, oh, I'm trying to help you clear it. I'm like, no, that is not your responsibility. I love you. This is my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I do not give you permission to take on my stuff. And then
Wow.
she got better. I was like, so fascinating. I mean, it's so
Wow. It
fascinating.
is fascinating. Yeah. I think the connection between us and animals, I mean, and especially like people even say it with horses and not just dogs and cats, but other animals are
Yeah.
so, you know,
Oh, everybody is like, we're the ones that separated ourselves.
it's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
So
intentionally, but yeah.
I don't even know. Like I think it's a whole process of the remembrance. Like
Yes.
the Native Americans honor all beings. And I don't know if you've ever seen this book. It's called Braiding Sweetgrass.
No.
It's by a woman named Robin Wall Kimmerer, and she's a Native American who's also a botanist.
Okay.
She writes essays, and the resonance in me, like how she describes, like, I don't want to take all the strawberries because I want to leave some for the other beings who want to eat them too. And it's just like
Mm,
this like reciprocity slash like greater awareness of our interconnectivity, and then honoring like maples when they give their sap,
mhm.
and just slowing down enough to recognize that like we're all supporting one another and we've forgotten how to do that.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, where would we be without the trees and the plants and everything that sustain life for us, the water,
Yeah.
the air?
Yeah. So
Hmm.
it's just, it's just a matter of like remembering that way of being that we used to have that we've been conditioned out of. Um,
That's the part I feel is intentional.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can have a discussion about that too if you want.
Yes. So fast forward back to our story.
Yeah.
So I think you said so you're now living at a
I'm
friend's
living in
house.
North, I'm living outside of Mount Shasta right now.
Okay. Okay. And how are you helping people outside of it seems like it's been a lot of your friends, animals?
Well, what I've noticed, and this is something animals told me, animals,
Hmm.
like when I'm doing sessions, the animals like will give me things. Like I had a dog in Wairika say, hey, really need some trace minerals.
Hmm.
And I was like, we all need trace minerals. Like this wasn't just him. It was like this piece of awareness, like, oh, I'm not getting enough trace minerals. So like that just comes in sessions now because everybody needs trace minerals. It's not like because our soils are depleted. And so a couple weeks ago, because I've been through this process when mom died, I got the intuitive guidance to start using LifeWave Aeon patches.
Hmm.
Um, Even though my upline said, get the X39, my soul was like, no, 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 you need regulation. Let's do the Eon first. So I've been doing that for 3.5 months, and the calm and the presence I have versus where I was in December when I was living with four dysregulated dogs, one of whom ate my earplugs.
Yeah.
Didn't know that was possible.
Oh,
Like,
hopefully it
why
went
would I?
okay in our tummy.
I'm like, why would you do that? And then another one, because I touched a sore spot, he ended up lunging at me and biting my face
Oh,
2 days after my mom died. And I was like, I can't take care of you guys. Like, I don't have the capacity to take care of you. I'm processing my own grief. And so I need something to support me so I can actually help you guys. And that's where the Eon came in. And I felt like this immediate, like, slowing down and being more present so I could be present for them.
and I think you had mentioned to me, I think yesterday, that most of us need this regulation. And it's funny, I found this out myself and I just realized right after just a few days ago, I guess the Schumann resonance kind of went off
Hmm.
out of whack or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. And I actually woke up 2 days in a row. Actually, I woke up and was just I could feel that anxiety, and I don't normally really get anxiety, and I
Yeah.
could feel it throughout my whole body, especially my like right in here, especially like my upper
Hmm.
chest, and it just
Yeah.
would not. It just kind of would not quit. And I did
Hmm.
the same thing. I actually took an Eon patch, placed it on the back of my neck, and within about a half hour or so, it just kind of like it was almost like it just slid off. But it was kind of
Yeah.
intense, and it was maybe more intense for me because that's not a normal state for me.
Mm.
And I think some of us out there where that it's kind of like so many people are living in fight or flight mode
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
can see why. And just for those of you watching this, the Eon patches for it's very anti-stress, helps our cortisol levels level out, versus the X39, which is our sort of foundational life wave patch, which helps activate GHK copper peptide. And that copper peptide in us is what actually helps us create more stem cells, new baby stem cells. Um, so you would think that that one is the more important one, but once we level ourselves out, I can see why you got that intuitive hit after you said that now this other patch can work more effectively. So it's almost like you're clearing the groundwork
Yeah.
for the real good
Yeah.
stuff
Like
to
if
start
I'm just
happening.
regulated, if I'm inflamed,
Mm-hmm.
yes, the X39 can definitely help, but I need to get to a baseline so I can allow it to help.
Right,
So it's like it's definitely I'm using those two and the glutathione too because those are the base three that my body is asking for right now.
right.
Because,
Yeah, it is incredible. So um do the animals help us with any of that grounding? So I know there's other ways besides patches to this. I mean, there's
yeah.
grounding mounts, there's going outside,
Oh,
but you
okay.
really gotta be consciously practicing a lot of these things versus
Yeah.
like sticking on a patch. I mean, it's
Oh yeah, no, I mean there's a
easy,
whole
but yeah,
regimen. I've got Purium, Biomedic, and the amino acids. I've got
yeah,
like
clean
ashwagandha,
water, all the things.
pure water. I'm so looking forward to the new water thing. Um, right
Yeah,
now I'm drinking
yeah.
Shasta water, which is amazing. Shasta head water is very high frequency.
Oh,
So I'm
that's
very
amazing. I use a hydrogen water pitcher for now.
Oh, cool.
From
Very cool.
filtered water. I put filtered water in it.
Okay.
But yeah. So it is, I
Yeah.
think the water, because we are what, 75% water or something like
Something
that.
like that. Yeah.
We're huge percentage of water, and that water
Yeah.
is very that water is very intuitive in and of itself.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I get the water, there's a spot called the headwaters, and we all go
Mm,
down to the headwaters, and I just pour very intentionally, and I thank the water for you know giving me the life force that
mm.
it's live water, it's coming
Yeah.
from the mountains, so it's like I know what that is, and I'm just so grateful. I can feel the difference when I drink it, when I don't.
Yeah, and a
So
lot of us don't have access to something like that. And I think there
yeah,
are machines that you can buy. And live water means water that's moving, but
yeah,
water is so important to
yeah,
our livelihood. Clean
yeah.
water,
Clean
obviously.
water, and unfortunately a lot of humans don't have access to it. I mean, we don't like a simple thing like if you have a garden, put a copper wire in the ground. It's going to completely change the frequency. Here's the thing I learned from a book called Ringing Cedars.
Mm,
Um,
yeah, I've heard of that series.
so if you put one seed under your tongue of each plant, it will pick up on your frequency and what
Okay.
you're missing from that plant and produce more of that nutrient for all of the plants because they all talk to each
Wow.
other.
Very
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
That makes sense. And the
That's
copper makes sense too.
mm-hmm.
All right. So this is a good time. We're actually filming this in early March, mid March, actually. So
Yeah.
for those of you who have not started your garden,
Well, here's the thought that I came up with because like I know mycelium and I know like the
Mhm.
interconnectivity of all the things. So, and I remember hearing a story of a woman putting a pat or a husband, I can't remember, like husband or wife putting a patch on an aquarium and all of the fish feeling better. So I'm wondering, I'm extrapolating and I'm like, what if we put a patch in the forest?
Mm, throw
I
all
don't
the,
know.
I mean, people might pick it up as litter.
But putting a patch like an
Yeah.
X39
Yeah, on a tree or on the
on a
ground.
tree and having that network
Yeah. Or throwing it
communicate.
like where there's all kinds of like, foliage that you can't see, not on a trail or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
That'd be an
'Cause-
interesting experiment on like a small little plot of land. That would be very interesting.
I know, because I why
Mhm.
not? Like if it helps us and we're
Yeah,
all of life, right? We're not
exactly.
separate from life.
And these are discarded, so we would just use a patch that we've had on for about 12 hours and then, put it in something that, and it's already proven that it works on plants. So plants have already benefited from from the light technology in the patches, which is non-transdermal. So nothing goes into us. It's just it's frequency. So it is
Hmm.
light and frequency technology, which is pretty incredible. And I do think, how many years ago Tesla and I think Einstein said the future of medicine will be in light and frequency and
Hmm.
something to that effect.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Well,
it's
we're finally
true.
here. We're finally here. I mean, and I think people are much more open to this type of
Hmm.
technology, and we do stand at a time in March of 2026 where systems are collapsing, and the
Yeah.
work that you're doing, people are becoming much more open to it.
Yeah,
So,
like 6 years ago, it was like, what's this crazy woman doing?
I mean, I
I'm
was
just
on
trying
this
to
stuff
help
a
your
long
animals.
time
Like,
ago, but yeah,
like
and
it's
it
like,
is incredible because you can really help. You can really help our animals in ways that because they can't speak, at least the language that we understand right now,
well, the
that
interesting
most of
thing
us.
is, as we're getting more of our clairsenses coming online,
Mm,
I'm not special other than the fact that I'm highly sensitive. And I think all of us are highly sensitive. It's just that I couldn't numb myself out.
right. And I
Like,
think it's to different degrees of
yeah,
our awareness due to probably a million factors. I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and so like, but as we're like, what I'm hearing with the animals is like, as we're shifting our consciousness,
Mhm.
because that's what we're in the process of doing right now. We're right
Right.
in this middle of the ascension. Telepathy is going to be one of the skills that's going to come on for more and more humans, and so we're going to be able to have those conversations with the plants and the animals and the waters. I mean, I had a lake, Klamath Lake, talk to me and ask for support a couple of months ago, and I was like, okay, because like like it's kind of a weird thing because like I'm just driving along and doing my thing, and all of a sudden I hear this energy, this frequency, but then it translates itself into language so I
Mm,
can understand it. And she asked for support, and I have this meteorite called tektite,
okay.
and tektite clears dark energy.
Mm.
I don't know this much stuff, but like I do know that like crystals have properties, and this particular property was gifted to me. And the guy that gave it to me said, "Yeah, you're gonna need this." I'm like, "Why would I need to clear dark energy?" Like I don't know. And so I called in the energies of the tektites, and I have something called a Vogel crystal, which is a 14 pointed or 14-sided crystal that's got 2 points, and they're very powerful. And so the four of them and me just called in, and I fraction of me remembers that I have an I am presence, like the consciousness that we all are.
Mm.
So I call that in, and I call in the presence of them when we're driving up back to Bend from Weed, and I felt a shift in the lake. And when I came back down in January, she actually not only said thank you, but she sparkled for me.
Ah,
And I was like, "What is this?" And she's like, "This is a thank you for you, and you're
yeah.
here to see it." And I'm like, I like my left brain is like, what is going on? Because like there is a part of me, like I'm a former historian, I like to quantify things, but my right brain is like, yeah, just receive it.
Yeah.
Just receive it, because
All
like
good.
you don't need to analyze it, you don't need to understand it, you just know it is.
Yeah, and I think that you make a good point because a lot of us have stepped away from our intuition. And I know for myself, I've been consciously tuning into my intuition
Hmm.
to, it's like a muscle. Like we forget,
Yeah.
and our ego is so strong that it comes and it just overtakes those initial hits. And I always find that initial hit that I get is often usually that was it. And
Yeah.
that rational brain and wants to, like you said, quantify everything comes and steps in and, kind of trips it all up. It makes it all,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
da 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 da. And, we come up with a million excuses. But the more that we can tap into our intuition, the more that we can, really figure out. And I think that's why so many structures are crumbling
Hmm.
right now, because people are waking up. It's, they say that everything goes in cycles.
Yeah.
So whether people have woken up before or not, I feel that they have, and we're just in another one of those cycles.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool to be here to be a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I love seeing things like, well, this morning I just felt this awareness like, why didn't I slow myself down to be present enough to feel subtle energies?
Mm,
I'm just laying in bed and allowing myself to feel without thinking the non-physical energies that are around us. Because when we slow, and that's the biggest thing, like for intuition, just
yeah.
slow down.
Yeah.
And like the more I slow down, the more it's like, and slow down more. And it's like, it's hard because we have been trained out of being present.
Oh, absolutely. And I think a lot of us are catching up, and I think since 2020, even more people are tapping
Yeah.
into this stuff. I think 2020 opened up a lot of people's eyes in a very good way. Not
Yeah.
everybody, but I would venture to guess that we're past critical mass, which is what, maybe
Yeah,
like
I think so too.
3% or something like that. I think we're
Yeah.
well past critical mass, and you can see it in the world around you with things speeding up.
Hmm.
I mean, time to me now just goes so fast. Before I know it, it's the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like, I'm amazed at like, how is it already March 17th?
Right.
Like, because it doesn't make sense linearly, but that's because there's no linearness to it anymore. It's just like, okay, so where are you now in this moment? What are you doing in this moment? So what that adage of like, well, focus on one thing,
Hmm.
to me, that's a lie because I can't focus on one thing. I've got way too many gifts. I want to use them all. So what I can do is focus on one thing while I'm doing it. And I'm fully present with that thing. And then I put it down and then I go to the next thing and I'm fully present with that thing. So that way I can do multiple things,
Right. Because each
but not
thing
at the same time.
that we do throughout the day requires a different part of us. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
If you're working, you've probably got some analytical, some memory, some skills like so there's that, and then there's sort of the moments where maybe we're daydreaming or we are consciously meditating or we're working out or something like that. And I think so many of us use social media and scrolling, that all distracts and takes away from that moment where you are developing your and I find most people just can't sit in the quiet. I love the quiet. Oh my gosh, sometimes I'll drive with just absolutely nothing. Or I love the quiet because it's when I can truly hear what's being, I hate the word downloaded because it seems so overused, but I can hear what's coming in
Hmm.
from the greater consciousness, because I do think
Yeah.
we're receivers. There, it's
Hmm.
already been proven that parts of our brain, it's meant to be receiver. I've even read that our hair is a
Yeah.
receiver. So
Yeah.
we're receiving this information all day, and well, what do you do with it? How do you catalog it? How do you use it? How do you use it for your highest good? How do you use it for the highest good of the people you love? How do you use it for the highest good of the world, to bring us all to a better place? Because I don't think this
Yeah.
is what any of us really planned. You
No, like
know?
I'm an old soul and I know this. And for some reason, like since I was really little, and I don't use this word religiously at all. It's a frequency. So I've known I'm supposed to fully remember and embody my Christ consciousness so
Mhm.
I can help others remember theirs.
Yes.
And it's a frequency. It's not like I'm somebody better than anyone else. It's just like how fully present can I be and remember that I'm divine like everyone else is so everyone else can remember who they are so they can shine their light too.
Well, it goes back to what you had said earlier about the separation. We've all separated ourselves. And when we realize that we're not, we're all divine. We all have
Yeah.
these gifts. It's whether or not we're taking the time or we're putting ourselves in the right environment to develop and remember. Develop and remember. I actually should go remember and develop those skills. And it's so easy to
Yeah.
do. And there's so many videos and stuff online that you can, just use as guides. Because I think we all need sometimes if I usually don't have trouble sleeping, but all I have to do is put on like a meditation and like
Hmm.
boom, I'm out. And I
Yeah.
think those tools are great because they do help focus the mind, especially when you first kind of start down this path. I wasn't always able to sit by myself in stillness.
Hmm.
For sure, I was not.
No, I
We
get it.
all
I
are
get
looking
it.
for these distractions, distractions from
Yeah.
TV, from people, from scrolling, whatever.
Well, I gotta say, this is a wild thing. So back in 1998, a long
Hmm.
time ago, I was married and I noticed that the only connection I had with my ex-husband was television shows.
Okay.
So I canceled them. I canceled cable to see what would happen. And of course, the marriage fell apart. That's when I started, that's when I enrolled in my PhD program. But I started it and I was like, if I have a television, I'm not going to write my dissertation. So I just didn't have access to television since 1998. So I am completely unaware of what's going on in culture. I mean, I see it with like Telegram posts and stuff like that, but like I'm not part of that. And I think that's like I took a vow of peace right after the Paris bombings and I stopped watching movies and reading adventure books. And like I've really intentionally pulled myself back from popular culture. And it's mostly it hasn't been like I'm rejecting it so much as I'm so sensitive that my body's like, I don't want to take this in anymore.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I got to see the Saturday Night Live skit about Ma hospitals last this week, which cracked me up because I am an energy healer. And I'm like, yeah, I probably would use a crystal.
Yeah. Yeah. But see, that's one of the tactics. They try to poke fun,
Right,
putting it out to the people that are watching that. Oh, if you believe this, there's something wrong with you. Like,
right. But
like
I don't,
you're ridiculous. And you've got to really tune into these things nowadays. There's so many things out there that are just out there to blame, shame, make you feel bad about yourself,
yeah,
make you feel separate when you
right,
are not. And we need
right.
to boost our antennas to
Hmm.
be aware and use serious discernment skills into
Yeah.
figuring out and discerning, well, what is truth and what is not truth and what's my truth, because my truth may not
Hmm.
be your truth. That doesn't mean it's
Yeah.
not true. um
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Metaphorically.
Well, what's
But
really interesting, I've had some people in my life show up with wounds, like, they're unconscious pieces.
like
And
trauma.
yeah, and I'm just watching it and like they're trying to project it onto me. I'm like, yeah, but that's not mine. That's not mine. And if you'd like, I can call you out and show you what your unconscious program is that you're projecting onto me because I love you and
Mm.
it's coming from a place of love. I'm not trying to shame or blame anyone, but like if I see this like the equivalent of energetic broccoli in your teeth, I kind of want to I don't want to
Yeah.
think, hey, you just look at one like look in your mirror. Um, and it's interesting to see where these ones are in receiving that.
Mm.
Because some people don't care that they got broccoli in their teeth.
Yeah.
I
And,
like
and
being
it's not
told.
our job to take everything on because that can weigh out. And a lot of us take it on
Hmm.
without the proper skill set to
Yeah,
release it.
yeah.
Because none of us want to see people, especially people that we love, hurting or
Hmm.
struggling. No one wants to see that. But yet,
Right.
when we take that on, now we're almost like now we're not only not progressing ourselves, but now we're held back from helping people. It's like
Yeah,
I firmly believe in that when we all help and heal ourselves first, that's when the world really starts to
yeah.
change. And I've seen it firsthand, the ripple effect that it has initially, especially on the people that are in your direct sphere, whether
Mm-hmm.
they're in front of you or across the world. Like you said, it really doesn't matter. Time and space
Right.
really doesn't matter.
Yeah, and one of the things I've noticed in myself is I got the big ones. I got codependency, I got control, I got narcissism, I got people pleasing, like all these programs that I came in to clear for the family
Uh-huh.
line.
Yeah.
And the last one that was the stickiest was the people pleasing and the fawning. Because like, as a woman, I'm compassionate, and that's great, but like I had an opportunity to like tune into what my capacity is right now, versus what the expectations of somebody wanted of me. And like, yeah, I can't meet those expectations because this is where I'm at. But if you can like be flexible, I will give you everything that you want for your birthday. It's just not going to be on the same day. And fortunately, the person that I was doing this for was like, "Oh, yeah, no, I completely hear you. I don't want to over exert you. I want you to be in your own lane and do what you can when you can do it." And I'm like, "That's how we can interrelate."
Yeah.
Like it's not about like, "Okay, you failed me because you didn't do these things." That's shaming. But like, where do I feel what I can do?
Mm-hmm.
And how do I make sure that I'm not depleting myself after being a lifelong depleter? It's like it's a really big thing to like, okay, where do I have the like where am I at? What can I do in this day? And what feels like I'm pushing myself too much, because I don't have the time and space for that, and I'd rather spend the time supporting myself rather than get developing that pattern of resentment because I'm not placing that attention on myself.
Right. And I do sort of subscribe to the thought that I truly believe that most people are doing the best they can with
Hmm.
where they're at and
Yeah.
whatever they're dealing with.
Yeah.
I don't think most people want to intentionally hurt or destroy
Right.
others. I mean, you see it a lot online and you see all this nonsense. I don't really think that that's truth. I don't think people really want to do that. I think that's a there's something else going on there. But I
Yeah.
don't think people ever really want to hurt other people, even though we do
No,
it.
I don't think so either. I mean, like I think the wounds may come through. And as we bring in this awareness of like, oh, that's your trigger, not like that person just triggered the wound that's within you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not their fault that you have this. And then like how to be present with that fear, that anger, that whatever it is that's in your body that needs to be felt without projecting it out. That's a skill set we get to learn.
Well, and I think you made a good point. I don't know if a lot of people realize this. I did study emotion code. One of the things that we learned was the emotional or the generational part that you're
Hmm.
clearing. And of
Yeah.
all the things that we can do, imagine you're healing yourself while you're clearing and helping not just the people that ripple around that are in front of you, but the generations where this has kind of come down because whether we want to look at it or not, there's people out there who know this, whether they're fully people or not, I'm not really quite sure of, but there's people that know this and want to keep this from us. So it's
Yeah.
not just about remembering, it's also, I feel, about reclaiming what
Hmm.
was taken from us for reasons that don't benefit us, that benefit those that were not,
Are in a different frequency.
that are in a different frequency. Exactly, that are in a different frequency
Yeah.
for, whatever reasons. And
Yeah.
why we're all here, I really don't know. I have lots of thoughts and ideas, but I do know
My
that I am more than
Yeah, like my
I'm
sense is like
being.
I am this avatar
I would
that
agree with that.
whose soul, right? The higher self soul
Hmm.
wants to experience through, right? So like I have many, many skills, and I have an innate sense of delight. Like that's just my general operating system is I like approaching the world with delight. And so like what delights me, and do that.
Mm.
And I've had many parts in my life that haven't been as delightful as I'd like. But now that I'm aware of the innate beingness, my essence of delightness is, or delightfulness is like, okay, what brings me delight? How do I show up in the world that brings delight to me and through me? And that seems to be the focus. Like what does the soul want to express through me?
Hmm.
And I think that's it, because it's like source created us to experience itself
Mm-hmm.
in all the different ways. And like my left brain's still trying to wrap its head around it. But like, I'm noticing like I love baking. I just got myself a flour mill. I am so freaking excited about this because I get to grow my own flour, which means it's going to be a higher frequency and I place more intention in it. And my sourdough is going to be freaking amazing. And I'm
Yeah.
so excited because like that's something that brings me joy.
Yeah, and you can share that joy with a loaf of bread. Something so simple. I think some of us,
Yeah.
we think it has to be this grandiose gesture or grandiose awakening, when I think we're all just awakening and remembering little by little every day. And it's
Hmm.
not some big epiphany. And you hear people have these big awakenings, whether they're doing it naturally or kind of unnaturally. It really doesn't
Hmm.
matter. Sometimes that does happen, but I think it just happens in the everyday little moments where we realize, yeah, that's something I've been repeating over and over again. That's why I
Yeah.
attracted that thing today, whatever it was. When we
Hmm.
can see these things that are happening, especially the patterns, and
Yeah.
stop and say, well, what's going on? Like,
Hmm.
why is it? Where did it come from? How can I heal it? How can I let it go? Because
Yeah.
otherwise we're just going to keep tracking these things in our life.
Yeah. It's a dance. Like, and if you
Yeah,
approach it
good way
with
to
a
put
lens
it.
of curiosity, it's fun. Even like the hard things are
It's
fun.
fun.
Yeah.
True. It is. It's all in how you approach it. So
Hmm.
I'm going to go back to one thing.
Okay.
When you mentioned that you were an interspecies, and I should have said this from the beginning, what can you describe or define what interspecies means for people? Because I think people, when they
Yeah.
probably heard it, they were like,
What the heck is
well,
that?
does that mean extraterrestrial?
So
What does that
the
mean?
best way I can describe it is, yes, animals talk to me. Rocks talk to me. Trees talk to me. Objects sometimes talk to me. Um, like all of life talks to me. And fortunately, I put up some barriers so I don't have to hear it all the time. But like, for example, when I'm on a hike, I have to be the last person
Mm.
because all the baby cedars want me to touch them. And it's just so cute because it's this recognition of because I don't know, I can't remember what the cedars do on the East Coast, but like on the West Coast, they dance in this really beautiful pattern and when it's windy and it's not like any other tree. So I just am present with the delight of
Yeah.
watching them and they know it. So they all, and I even have a cedar tattoo on my arm that was given to me in a dream. And I don't
Mm.
really like tattoos. And when I woke up from this dream, I was excited. And I'm like,
Mm.
okay, this is interesting because I don't really like tattoos. But when I got it hand poked, I felt something shift in my frequency
Huh.
because of that connection I have with cedars, and they know it. And I'm just remembering it. It's like, okay, you're connected with me. I'm remembering you.
Mm.
And in one of my past lives, I was a child of King Solomon. So, of course, cedars, because the temple was made out of cedars. And so, like, that's the connection. So, it's been a very long awareness of their frequencies. And do
Wow.
I really understand that? No, I don't. I know it. I don't need to understand it. And so when everything talks to me, animals are the most easy for me to understand
Mhm.
because they know how humans communicate. So like when I go into my sessions, I channel, and my handwriting goes to like can't read it usually. I have to write really slowly so I can like read it back because in body talk we tune in and then we create formulas and there's usually two formulas in a session. And so I have to write really slowly and intentionally so I can read it when I'm reading back the formula and tapping it in. And the animals, depending on which animal it is, like their personalities come through. I know that. Um, they show me different levels of awareness. Like I did a group session a couple months ago, and all 6 of the dogs said, okay, this is a complex concept. We want to deactivate multiple past lifetimes of being separated and or othered by humans. And I was like, that's intense because they're sick of the humans placing that separation on them.
Ah,
So we deactivated it for them. Whether or not they're humans shifted to is completely irrelevant to the fact that they shifted so they don't feel that separation anymore.
interesting.
And so like it's various levels. Like this pine cone
Mm-hmm.
was on a trail. I'm hiking, not like I'm just in my own space, and all of a sudden that pine cone said, "Take me home."
A big pine cone.
Okay, what do you want, pine cone? And pine cone's like, I just want to be with you. I'm like, oh, okay. So like I don't necessarily get the things, but they're all subtle energies that just like nudge me, for lack of a better
Mm.
way to say. So that it's like my awareness is here, and all of a sudden I get, oh, okay, I'm going over here. So it's 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 not it's not like a 3D conversation that we have, but it is a form of communication. And since so many different things talk to me, it's
Hmm.
just easier to say interspecies.
Okay. No, I
Yeah.
just wanted to define that. So when someone does work with you, what does that look like for them? Is it along the lines of, like my dog's not, she seems off. She seems not feeling well.
Mhm.
Is this
So
how
I
you
have an
tell?
intake form from
Okay.
my comfort level because
That
I'm
makes
still
sense.
recognized like I am fully telepathic, but my left brain likes the comfort zone. So I'm honoring the left brain. So left brain says, let's do an intake form. So I have an intake form where you fill out what you notice, what you are noticing. You send me a picture of your beautiful four-legged, finned or winged one, whichever one is needing support. And then I get the form, and then when that being wants me to do a session, I start recording, and I take
Mm.
out this. I don't have it necessarily for. I've already memorized the chart, but sometimes there's something that I don't use often that needs to come into presence. So I have that, and then there's a book of consciousness that Body Talk produces that's based in Chinese medicine, where every body part has different pieces of consciousness.
Oh, okay.
And so what I do is I have a protocol where I call in my higher self and the higher self of the animal and all of the highest light, and I ask for the highest healing to be facilitated as my intention. And then I just shut up and listen. And I record everything. It's usually just audio because I don't think it's interesting to watch me close my eyes and do things.
Right.
Um, and then it's usually about a half hour, and I just listen. And then after the second formula comes in, I listen to the guidance. And the
Hmm.
guidance says, hey, I need trace minerals, or I need the supplement, or whatever it is that they need comes in. Like, how long is the session going to run? And do you tap in with a technique called cortices, which is balancing your left and right brain?
Okay.
I have a video with all of the terms and how to tap in cortices because I know when I'm in session, I can't explain anything because I don't want to stop the transmission.
Right.
Um, and
Um,
then I send out the recording. I send out the video of me with all the descriptions. I send out what the guidance is. And then if there's any links for things like, you know, I haven't gotten guidance for patches yet, but I think that's coming in since they told me for the humans.
hmm.
Because if you're not regulated, anything I do isn't going to stick because they're going to reflect back to you your dysregulation.
Right. And it does
So,
really important to tackle that first.
yeah, yeah,
And then it almost seems like it opens up the pathway to all of the other types of healing and interventions.
yeah, yeah. Because, like, the more regulated you are, the more you're able to receive.
Yeah. And the calmer you are, and you're not living in that fight or flight
Yeah,
um, state any longer.
Yeah,
which
I don't
we've
miss
all
it.
been in. I mean, I can say a lot of my life I've lived in
Oh,
fight or flight without realizing it on little things, like with
yeah.
little things. And maybe it's like you're just fight or flight on this, that, or another
Mhm.
thing. But yeah, I think we
Oh,
all
it's a
experience.
thing because like that's the programming. I mean, why we have a
Yeah.
reptilian brain. Like that one's just taking me down too many rabbit holes of
Yeah.
like, why do we have something called a reptilian brain? We're not reptilian. Like, what is this? But like that tied to our cortisol and our amygdala and like how the cortisol just kicks in. And I've been hyper vigilant most of my life. So be able to like unwind from that because like I had to like mitigate all of the crazy lack of regulation in my family, like to realize that I don't need to do that anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't have the capacity to do it anymore. I just need to regulate myself. That's like so much deprogramming because, I'm in a space where I'm not taking care of anyone, so I have the luxury of being able to get down to that space. For
Hmm.
parents, it's a harder thing to navigate because you're stewarding your children
Mm.
or your pets or whoever it is, and like to manage yourself within that context it's a dance.
Yeah. So speaking of that, for those people listening that are like, what would you give as one thing to help regulate us humans and to help our pets regulate as well? Outside, so we know for sure Eon patches for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, ashwagandha.
So what? Ashwagandha. Okay. Even for the
Ashwagandha.
pets too. Pets can have that.
I'm not sure if the pets can do ashwagandha.
Because I know,
I'm
like,
not a
you
huge.
can drink it in a tea. I mean, it's not like we're not talking like psychedelics. We're talking
No, 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 no,
like,
no,
yeah,
no,
like
no.
I've gotten it as a tea, and it is
Yeah,
very calming.
yeah, like ashwagandha and tulsi are a really good combination.
Okay.
I'm not sure about the efficacy for animals because I know they can't always
Mm,
digest what we can.
right.
Um, I am
Interesting.
ambivalent about CBD because I know what regulation has done to the plant.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just leave it there. Um,
Yeah. And
and
I
I
know
also
they
know
have
that
it for the and I would say even with the ashwagandha, we check your resources. Like I
yeah,
for me, I always try to get organic, small farm kind of,
yeah,
not huge
yeah, because it's
industrial.
it's it's really important. I think actually I really
And with
feel like
everything, it's the quality.
yeah, and I don't think they're continuing it anymore, but Lifeway, Purium used to have something called Epigenius,
Hmm.
which had both Biometic, which eliminates glyphosate, and then joint support, but they've been switching up products lately, and I'm not sure if that's still a product that they offer. I know that like we all need to get rid of glyphosate out of our bodies.
So I think we all have it. I don't even think there's
Yeah,
any of us that don't have it at this point.
right. Not in the United States anyways. I
Right.
mean, it's just there. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, guess what? You're poisoned. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, and I'm sure even if you're just having a newborn, you're probably passing that
yeah.
right on
Oh,
to a
because it's
newborn.
epigenetics. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So like to be
crazy.
able to like clear that out as much as possible, I think, I
Hmm.
haven't tried it yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if putting the glyphosate patches, after you wear them for 12 hours, like putting them on your pet for like an
Oh, the
hour or
glutathione.
two.
Yeah,
Yeah, the glutathione, just like an hour or two, because I don't think they need
yeah,
it as much, but like,
probably not because that could be an intense-ish
yeah,
path,
yeah,
depending.
it
Yeah,
is.
most people feel it whether you are attributing it to the patch or not, but most
Yeah.
people do. I know I feel when I
Oh, the
wear it.
first day I wore it, I had to take it off in 5 minutes because it was like so intense. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
we'll
and
just
it's
use the X39 for a while and build up to the
exactly. And
glutathione.
that's why they make our little patches on the back with a half sticker thing. So it has two sides. So if you want to take it off and use it a little later, you still got some sticky. Oh, that's a good one to practice that with. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. But but
yeah,
but it's something we all need, that, and the
yeah.
parasite, like paracleanses are
Hmm.
really important because we're all
Yeah.
kind of loaded with
And heavy
parasites and that
metals
and
and
heavy yeah, like
yeah,
so many things that we don't even realize. And truthfully, when you say, oh, I'm going to get blood work, and get blood work unless you specifically are getting this done, it's not checking for that kind of stuff, like your heavy metal toxicity levels and all that kind of stuff. But those lead to further things down the line, like neurological diseases,
Yeah.
fast growing cell issues. Yes, there's a like, yes, so many
Yeah.
things that I won't
I'm so
mention.
looking forward to David's air cleaning stuff.
Yeah. I mean, cleaning up the air, I mean, just look up in your skies. I'm sorry, but crisscross patterns in the skies are not normal.
No, they're
And it's
not.
not condensation. Sorry.
No, they're not. They're not.
But that's
No.
another story for another
Yes,
day. But
yes, it is.
but no,
But
I
because of,
love that advice.
yeah, like I want to be in a world where like we don't need to do this.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like where all of the things, I mean, yes, I want to regenerate my stem cells all the time, but like imagine we're living in a place where we do that naturally. That's where I want to be.
Yeah, that
And
we
I
don't
think we're
need the help.
right. And I think that that's my intention is like how do we bring that into form? That's my intention. I know there's like destruction and wars and all that stuff. I don't care about that. I'm here about how do we create the new?
And I
Like
think a
how do
lot of that is the old system falling. But what happens is we get ourselves caught up in that. And from that sort of, for lack of a better term, spiritualness of it, it's really none of our business because it's not our
Mhm.
war. It's
Right.
not our thing. We need to,
No.
like you said, when we focus on healing our trauma, healing our bodies, healing our minds, and it really is body, mind, and spirit, and having
Yeah.
that connection and realizing that, like you said at the very beginning, that we aren't separate, that we are all connected. We are connected to everything around us. I mean, even just, if you think about when you just go outside, you go outside and you're kind of like, oh, my mind's a little distracted. Well, then you like hear a bird. And the more quieter your mind gets, the more you hear now more birds and the leaves on the trees rustling. And it literally becomes a symphony that most people just go outside and don't hear. So it's really, like you said, tuning in to quiet down the mind
Mm-hmm.
and really just slowing down and
Yeah.
having that bit of silence so you can hear all the other things that are around us coming
Hmm.
through.
Yeah.
And then that just awakens your intuition. I think right now, from everything that I've learned, I would say if there's one thing that we can really focus, it is our intuition, because that intuition then I think breaks down the door for other things.
Hmm.
So instead of just, you know, surrendering to our intuition, rather than, I know me in the past, I would not bulldoze, but sort of like, this is the way it has to be done. And wow, when you can surrender, that's when the magic really
Yeah.
starts. And it's so hard to believe because we just want to control it. And it just
I
doesn't
know, but
work
you
that
can't.
way.
Like, I
Oh
mean,
my
you
gosh. Like,
can, but it's never the same.
no, it's either not the same or it's where the disappointments and the patterns start coming in. But when you
Hmm.
are leading yourself by surrender and intuition, um, for most of the time,
Yeah.
I think your entire world changes, hence changing the people around you. It's incredible.
Yeah. It really is.
So
And a
can you,
gift.
yeah. Can you let us know, how do people get in touch to work with you? And now, do you solely just work on pets, or when you're working on animals, does that automatically include the person, whether they're not or they're, they're
Well, I offer a couple until this year, I was just doing animals, but then like the awareness came in, and I was like, well, the humans kind of need some support too. So I offer animals. I offer multiple animals, and I offer an animal human package. So
nice?
with the animal human package, it's like animal gets the session first.
Mm, okay.
Pause. A week or two later, human gets a session. And then that integration happens. And then there's a session for both the human and the animal so they can reflect to each other and have a conversation.
Oh, that's like with you kind of as the interpreter.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And
amazing.
that's very new. It's just like something that I was guided to do. And I'm like, oh, interesting. So like I guess I'm gonna be doing that. So that's perfectly fine because like I'm always
Yeah.
interested in like expanding. So the best
And
way to
following your
find
intuition.
Yeah, I'm just following my intuition. So the
Yeah.
easiest way to find me is my website, which is sofiarisberg.com, SOFIA RIS as in Sam, B as in boy, ERG.com. And that's got my contact information and all my socials and all the things.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of your amazing wisdom on this topic, especially with the animals, who I know sometimes you're probably sitting there like, oh, I just wish you could tell me how you feel when they're sort of, and you're like, something's off and you don't. So, well,
Yeah.
now we have a resource. And thank you so much for coming on. Are there any parting words that you would like to leave us with?
What I'm feeling is just like really honor yourself.
Mm.
Honor your journey where you've been. Be curious to keep exploring and remembering more of who you are.
I love that. Oh,
Thank you.
well, thank you so much, Sophia. Thank you again. And thank you for listening. Again, this is Michelle Blaze with another episode of The Wealth Within Us. And I will see you next time. Right now, you can begin aging gracefully, full of energy, vitality, and overall wellness. But as time goes by, our bodies can start to show signs of aging. Until now, introducing LifeWave X39, the world's first product that activates our own cells. This breakthrough in regenerative science helps restore our bodies to a healthier, more youthful state. X39 uses patented phototherapy to elevate a copper peptide that signals cellular activation. Think of it as your internal repair system, generating younger, healthier cells that can rejuvenate your tissues and organs. Just one X39 patch applied daily is all it takes. Safe, non-invasive, and backed by clinical studies, this is your chance to regain control over your vitality. Don't miss out on the future of anti-aging. Experience the power of X39 today. Visit patchedlight.com and start living younger now.